So, I want you to imagine this scenario for a second. It's October 10th, 2020. You're standing in the back of this massive, just completely packed press conference hall in Delhi.
Right, like the air is just thick with anticipation.
Exactly. Flashbulbs are going off like strobe lights. Reporters are shouting questions over each other. And at the absolute center of all this chaos is Chitra Pathak.
The Chitrapathak.
Yeah, the superstar author. I mean, we are talking millions of books sold, page 3 celebrity status. She's the kind of writer who literally physically cannot walk down a street without being recognized and just swarmed by fans.
Yeah, she has basically reached the absolute pinnacle of the literary mountain. It's, the kind of success most writers don't even dare to put on their vision boards.
Right. And so she steps up to the microphone. The entire room just goes dead silent because everyone naturally assumes they're about to get the announcement of her next huge blockbuster novel.
Which would be the expected thing, right?
Exactly. But instead, she drops a bombshell that just completely paralyzes the room. She uses this massive platform to dismantle her own industry's biggest illusion.
Oh, it's wild.
She announces that her biggest literary rival, this elusive, critically acclaimed author named Sudhir Parashar, the writer everyone is calling the creator of India's Harry Potter, she announces that this person doesn't actually exist.
It's a complete fabrication, just a ghost.
Yeah. Surabi is a pseudonym. And the person actually writing these universally beloved, highly imaginative children's books, it's Sudip Yadav.
Sudip Yadav, which, if that name rings a bell for you, it's because Sudip is this disgraced former tech startup wunderkind.
Right.
He famously crashed and burned out of the corporate world years ago.
It is honestly the ultimate plot twist, and it's playing out in real time on national television. You have the ultimate public figure revealing the ultimate private secret of someone who, honestly, society had essentially written off as a corporate failure.
Completely written off.
And how we get to that specific press conference, that is the beating heart of our deep dive today. We are exploring the Hindi novel, October Junction, by Divya Prakash Dubey.
Such a fascinating book.
It really is. And our mission here is to trace the hidden, often devastating costs of extreme ambition. We're going to look really closely at the masks we wear just to achieve societal success.
Yeah, and how a completely unconventional, once-a-year meeting between two total opposites became literally the only thing keeping them tethered to reality.
Because it is a brilliantly layered character study. I mean, whether you're currently climbing the corporate ladder or you're trying to make it in the creative arts or
honestly, if you're just feeling completely overwhelmed by the constant hustle of modern life.
Exactly. This narrative holds a very stark mirror up to that chaotic pursuit. It forces this deeply uncomfortable question, like, what fundamental parts of yourself are you actively trading away to get what you think you want?
Right. And to really understand how the superstar author and the disgraced tech bro end up so deeply intertwined, we have to rewind.
Yeah, exactly 10 years. We are flashing back to October 10th, 2010, Benares.
We're at the Asigat at this bustling, incredibly noisy cafe called Pizzeria.
It's so crowded that the waiter essentially forces two strangers to share a small table.
Which, I mean, it has the setup of a classic romantic comedy meet cute, right?
Yeah, totally.
But Divya Prakash Dubey infuses it with this profound sense of existential dread.
Yeah, because you look at who is sitting at this table. On one side, you have Chitra. She's in her late 20s, recently divorced, and she is struggling with just a terrible case of writer's block.
A really bad one.
But her defining characteristic is this all-consuming desperation for fame. She doesn't just want to write. She wants her name known by everyone. She desperately wants the spotlight.
And then on the other side of the table is Sudip. He's 25. He's a math prodigy who dropped out of college, made millions in the stock market, and he founded this massive travel startup called Book My Trip.
But internally, the guy is completely falling apart.
Oh, completely. Sudip is actually in Benares on doctor-mandated rest. He's taking antidepressants. He is just suffocating under the immense pressure of his own company.
Yeah.
And his ultimate dream, literally the only thing that keeps him going, is to just retire by 35 and disappear entirely from the public eye.
You know, when I was looking at their dynamic, I realized it's not just that they are opposites. It's like an atmospheric pressure system.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. You have Chitra, who is essentially a low-pressure vacuum. She is starving for attention and air, desperately wanting to be seen. And then Sudip is this high-pressure system, suffocated by way too much focus, too many demands, and he just wants to evaporate.
He just wants out.
Yeah. So when they collide at this cafe in Benares, They naturally balance each other's atmospheres out. I mean, Sudeep even lies to her at first. He claims he's just an ordinary guy with a boring job because he's terrified of being recognized for his wealth.
Right before he finally admits who he actually is.
I see.
And that atmospheric balance you mentioned, it's heavily amplified by where they are. Benares acts as a massive thematic catalyst here.
Oh, definitely.
Because culturally and historically, Benares is famously this liminal space. It's a city that exists somewhere between reality and dreams, between life and death.
People travel there when they are searching for profound answers or when they've hit a complete wall in their everyday lives.
And both Sudeep and Chitra have hit walls. Hard. And because they're in this specific environment, completely stripped of their usual corporate or social context, the professional masks they've been wearing just melt away.
They really do. And the vulnerability, it escalates incredibly quickly. Later that night, they end up hanging out in Sudeep's room at the Taj Hotel. They're having a few drinks, just talking.
Yeah.
And Sudeep, this millionaire CEO, who the media portrays as having everything perfectly together, he just completely breaks down.
Just shatters.
Yeah, he starts crying uncontrollably. The relentless pressure from his investors to sell his shares, the crushing weight of his own accelerated success, it just breaks him right there in that moment.
And Chitra.
And Chitra, someone who was literally a total stranger hours ago, just holds him. She doesn't try to fix his business. She doesn't ask him for equity or a favor. He just lets him shatter.
Which is huge, because if we look at the psychology of that breakdown, it is the most authentic moment Sudeep has experienced in years.
Yeah, I mean, think about his daily reality.
Exactly. He is entirely surrounded by people who just want a piece of his wealth, or they want to pitch him an idea, or they want a board seat. Every single interaction is transactional.
Everything has a price tag.
Right. But with Chitra, he is suddenly allowed to just be a terrified, overwhelmed 25-year-old kid. It creates this profound, unspoken bond that is built entirely on psychological safety and vulnerability rather than, romantic attraction.
And that bond gets permanently cemented the next morning. They take a boat ride on the Ganges. There's a local Baba on the boat with them, and he starts singing lines from the poet Nazir Akbarabadi.
Oh, this is a great scene.
The line translates to, all your wealth and splendor will be left behind when you depart.
Sabdat para jayega jablad chalega banjara.
Yes, exactly.
It's this stark, poetic reminder of human mortality. It points directly to the ultimate emptiness of material success.
And Sudeep, who has spent his entire adult life accumulating capital, is so deeply moved by this that he empties his pockets. He gives the Baba all the cash he has on him, which is about 7,000 rupees.
Wow.
And the Baba's response is profound. He basically tells Sudeep that the more he gives away, the more joy he will ultimately find.
It's brilliant foreshadowing for what happens later. And before they part ways at the airport, Chitra does something that officially sets the architecture of the whole story in motion.
Oh, the book.
Yes. She gives Sudeep a copy of Haruki Murakami's novel, Kafka on the Shore. She signs it with a day's date, 10/10/10, but then she crosses it out and writes October 10th, 2011.
She creates a pact, an unspoken, rigid agreement that they will meet again in exactly 1 year.
And the rules are strict. No phone calls, no texts, no social media in between, just this one date on the calendar to act as an anchor for both of them as they head back into the absolute chaos of their lives.
Which brings us to the grueling reality of the years that follow. We move from this magical, suspended-in-time spark in Benares back to the brutal grind of their ambitions.
The real world.
Right. Between 2011 and 2013, the narrative shows us exactly how the relentless pursuit of their dreams forces them to systematically compromise their very identities.
Yeah, the 2011 meeting takes place at Kaninchidam, the ashram of Neem Karoli Baba. And already you can see the masks tightening on both of them.
It's palpable.
Sudeep arrives carrying a heavy burden. He has just sold 15% of his company shares. So yes, he is objectively richer on paper, but he is losing control of his vision.
He's bleeding out slowly.
Literally trading his autonomy, his ability to steer the ship he built for investor capital.
And Chitra is trading something even more fundamental to her identity.
Yeah.
By the time they meet in 2012 in Mumbai, Chitra is completely broke. Her manuscript has been rejected by every publisher in the city.
It's so demoralizing.
So in sheer desperation, she signs an ironclad non-disclosure agreement to become a ghostwriter for a famous established author.
Which is often viewed as the ultimate sacrifice for a writer. You do the agonizing labor of creation and someone else takes the glory.
See, I'm stuck on this 2012 meeting, though. Because if Chitra's core drive is fame, If her stated mission in life is literally just to be a page 3 celebrity, signing an NDA to ghostwrite is career suicide.
Right.
Like, how does someone justify burying their name when their entire identity is tied to being seen by the public? I mean, isn't it wildly contradictory?
It seems like a massive contradiction at first, yeah. But it perfectly illustrates the tragic irony of the survival instinct.
What do you mean?
Well, when you are starving, when you cannot make rent, the lofty desire for fame takes a backseat to basic physiological needs. She sacrifices her name, her core desire for financial survival.
Ah, okay.
The ghostwriting industry essentially preys on that exact desperation, exploiting talented but broke creatives. Just as Sudeep sacrifices his creative control for corporate survival, they're both trading away vital pieces of their souls just to stay in the game.
It's a highly realistic, brutal look at what the so-called hustle actually demands of you.
It really is.
That's the slow erosion of the self, and the external pressure just keeps mounting. By 2013, the boiler is completely ready to explode.
Yeah.
This becomes their lost year. The demands of their compromised lives are so heavy that they actually miss their October 10th meeting entirely.
Yeah, the anchor just breaks.
Sudeep is in Tokyo, desperately trying to secure a massive funding round from a Japanese investor named Miyazaki. And Sudeep makes this incredibly persuasive, brilliant pitch to secure 251 crores. He looks at the investor and argues, "We don't sell travel tickets. We sell experiences."
Which is a phenomenal business pivot. He recognizes the cultural shift happening in the 2010s where tech companies moved from providing basic utilities to monetizing lifestyles.
Right.
But if you look at the devastating personal cost of that pitch,
The irony is just staggering. Sudeep is a mastermind at curating and selling beautiful life experiences for millions of consumers, but he has completely lost the capacity to experience his own life.
he is emotionally bankrupt.
He's essentially a ghost haunting his own startup. Meanwhile, Chitra is stuck in Delhi, entirely consumed by the ghostwriting grind, churning out generic TV serials for other people's credit.
They manage one brief, incredibly lonely phone call.
And that's it. The safety net they built in Benares is fraying because they are both being eaten alive by the very ambitions they thought would liberate them.
But you know, there is a biological and psychological ceiling to how much of yourself you can trade away before your psyche just snaps.
True.
And for our protagonist, that bill finally comes due.
That takes us into 2014, and the setting shifts to Goa. Now, you have to remember what 2014 felt like in India.
Oh, the energy was everywhere.
Exactly. The macro environment is roaring. The Indian economy is booming, startup culture is exploding into the mainstream, and there's this massive, sweeping national wave of political and economic optimism.
Yeah, we're seeing the launch of huge initiatives like Swachh Bharat,
Right. The country feels like it's on an unstoppable upward trajectory.
which creates a brilliant stark contrast in the novel. Because while the country is booming, personally, our two protagonists are drowning.
Exactly. Sudeep is paranoid, and rightfully so. He knows his board of directors is actively plotting against him.
Yeah.
And Chitra is utterly exhausted. Her creative spirit is just ground into dust by the ghostwriting. They are walking on the beach in Goa, entirely depleted, and they get completely soaked by a rogue wave.
And that night, they finally cross the platonic line.
They do. They sleep together. But the text makes it very clear. This isn't some sweeping cinematic romantic culmination. It's born out of profound mutual exhaustion.
Yeah, it's the intimacy of survival. They aren't looking for a fairy tale romance. They're looking for a temporary shelter.
Right.
It's a moment of desperate connection, a chance to finally put down the heavy, suffocating armor they've been wearing all year before the final blow lands.
And, oh man, does that blow land.
It does.
2015 is the year the entire house of cards shatters. Sudeep walks into his office one morning, and the board has officially ousted him as CEO of his own company.
Just completely blindsided him.
And the knife twist. The person replacing him, the one who helped orchestrate the coup behind his back, is Sunaina, his business head, and his girlfriend.
Wow. It is the ultimate personal and professional betrayal.
Yeah.
But from a narrative standpoint, it is also the inevitable result of the path he was on.
How so?
Well, he built a machine designed solely to optimize profit and scale, right? And eventually, that very machine optimized him out of the equation. It ate its creator.
That's a great way to put it. But this is where the story shifts from a corporate tragedy to something deeply philosophical. It's all in how Sudeep reacts.
Oh, this part is amazing.
Right. He doesn't hire a team of lawyers to fight it in court. He doesn't beg the board for a secondary role. He walks into his old office, and he refuses to take anything with him except a single framed photograph of his late mother. That's it.
Just walks away.
And then he drops a nuclear bomb on his way out the door. He leaks a scathing open letter to the media.
The mathematical logic in that letter is brilliant, and it perfectly captures how his brain works.
It's honestly my favorite part of the deep dive. He writes that he sat down and calculated exactly how much time he has left.
Right.
Assuming an average lifespan and subtracting the hours he'll spend sleeping. Sudeep figures out he has roughly 2.75 lakh hours left in his life.
275,000 hours.
And he publicly declares to the media and his board that he refuses to waste a single one of those remaining hours on toxic office politics or fighting for a company that doesn't want him.
Yeah.
And then he just vanishes, drops off the grid, and retreats to his father's quiet house in Lucknow.
You know, by doing that math, Sudeep breaks the mechanism of the sunk cost fallacy.
Right, because normally people just cling to it.
Exactly. Usually, founders fight to the bitter end because they've invested so much time. But by quantifying his mortality, by putting a hard, undeniable number on the time he has left, he shifts his brain state from blind ambition to life preservation.
Wow.
This is his breaking point, absolutely, but it's also his massive breakthrough. By losing the company, he regains his time. He gets those 2.75 lakh hours back.
But the problem is, without the company, he is entirely unmoored. His identity is gone.
He's just empty.
Which is why Chitra has to go find him. She takes a train to Lucknow. When she gets there, Sudeep is basically a zombie. He is completely shut down, just unresponsive to the world.
Right.
While she's staying there trying to figure out how to reach him, Sudeep's father shows Chitra some of Sudeep's old belongings from when he was a kid. Specifically, he hands her these old, worn-out math notebooks.
And this is where it all comes together.
Yes. Inside these notebooks, filled with complex numbers and equations, Chitra discovers something incredible. Sudeep, this numbers-obsessed, highly logical tech prodigy, had been secretly writing incredibly imaginative children's stories in the margins since he was a little boy.
This is the massive aha moment of the narrative. This is where all the disparate themes connect perfectly back to that press conference hook we started with.
So let's unpack the mechanics of that.
Yeah.
How exactly does the math notebook lead to the press conference?
It reveals the core thesis of October Junction. Basically, the things we think define us are often just the masks that society has rewarded us for wearing.
Oh, right.
Sudeep was rewarded with millions of dollars in magazine covers for being a math genius, a stock market riz, a ruthless tech CEO. But his true, authentic self, the part of him that actually brought him joy, was the quiet boy writing stories in the margins of his math books. And on the flip side, Chitra, who wanted public fame and adoration more than anything, was rewarded with financial stability only when she completely hid her name and acted as a ghostwriter. Society rewarded their masks, not their true selves.
So the brilliance here is that they effectively trade dreams to save each other.
Yes, exactly.
Sudeep, the guy who wanted nothing more than to disappear from the public eye, finally embraces his secret passion. He becomes Suravi Parashar, the beloved, utterly faceless children's author. He gets to write his stories, and he gets to remain completely hidden, preserving his peace.
Right.
And Chitra, who desperately needed to be seen and acknowledged by the world, eventually steps in to help him finish his third book and enthusiastically becomes the public face of that massive success at the press conference.
They rescue the authentic parts of each other that the corporate and publishing worlds had tried to crush. Sudhi provided Chitra with the ultimate story and the public recognition she had always craved.
And in return?
In return, Chitra gave Sudeep the protective shield he needed to share his inner world with millions of children without ever having to sacrifice his sanity or his 2.75 lakh hours.
It just fundamentally rewires how you think about the concept of a career trajectory. We are constantly sold this idea that success is a clean, straight line upward.
Yeah, that it's just a ladder you climb.
Right. But often, the things we stubbornly, blindly chase, like Chitra chasing celebrity status or Sudeep chasing corporate dominance just to protect his original vision, those things morph into our biggest traps. They become the very cages we lock ourselves inside.
And conversely, the things we casually overlook or dismiss as trivial, a quiet, seemingly random conversation with a stranger at a cafe on October 10th, or a hidden childhood hobby scribbled in the margins of a math notebook.
Yeah.
Those seemingly small things can become our ultimate salvation. They act as breadcrumbs, leading us back out of the forest and toward our true unmasked selves.
If you look at your own daily grind right now, whether you are commuting to an office or working from a desk in your bedroom, what part of your true self are you currently hiding?
What mask are you wearing?
Exactly. What weird passion, what unique quirk have you effectively ghost-written out of your own life story just to survive your Monday morning stand-ups or meet the rigid expectations of your industry?
It's a deeply uncomfortable question to sit with, but it is an essential one for anyone trying to navigate modern success. We all have that metaphorical math notebook hidden away in a drawer somewhere.
We really do. And as we wrap up this deep dive into October Junction, I want to leave you with one final thought, circling all the way back to that very first morning they spent together in Benares.
The boat ride.
Yeah. Remember the bubble on the boat?
Mm-hmm.
The one who sang the poem about leaving your wealth behind?
Right, yeah.
Right before he left, he leaned over and picked up a handful of sand from the banks of the Ganges. He held it up, and he tossed it into the wind. They watched it scatter through the air and fall right back to the earth, becoming completely indistinguishable from the rest of the ground.
It's a profound, lasting visual.
It really is. In our relentless, exhausting drive to be unique, to be wildly successful, to make absolutely sure everyone in the room knows our name and our job title, perhaps true peace is found the exact moment we finally decide to give up the mask.
Yeah.
The moment we accept that it's okay to just be a part of the earth, quietly writing beautiful stories in the margins that no one even knows are ours.